very interactive discussion with every one of you here. And today's topic, I mean to say, it's going to be like, it's jewelry business growth. I mean to say, what are the various ways in which we all, when we all need to understand and do things in much better way, which can enhance our jewelry business. Okay. So it's going to be completely on that. So again, a very warm welcome to everyone. And like we all know that it's it's been years since HRD have the strong foundation into the industry, and we have our strong pillars, which is into certification, education, and equipment. And this is something which brings us today here again to have a very healthy discussion with every one of you on what are the tips and tricks through which we can boost and enhance our jewelry business. Okay, so what I'll do here is, okay, before I even go to my next slide, okay, let's make this thing in such a way where we all, okay, for next probably 30 to 45 minutes, okay, we will be having a understanding and of that what makes us attend this session and what is going to be our major takeaway out of this session. Okay, so before even I start, okay, what I want to request and make people know that a major takeaway from this particular session is going to be, the first is that in existing jewelry business, okay, what are the gaps what we are facing or probably what we must have heard of? And if we all know that there is a gap, what are the ways in which we as an entrepreneur are trying to fill up those gaps? So what I would request is that, you guys, I have kept the chat open. So the first thing what I want everyone to put down in the chat is that, do we all agree that in our current jewelry retail sales, do we feel that the way the jewelry is been sold to the end consumer, do we see that there is a gap and there is a room of improvement in that? If we all agree, whatever yours, you can just simply type in the chat yes or no. So the question is, do we all agree that there is a gap in the way how jewelry has been traded on the retail sales worldwide? Yes or no? Okay, I see replies. Yes, yes, thank you for that. Amazing. So this, perfect. Thank you, team. That's very nice. I'm very happy to know that you guys all agree with that. Perfect. So now, once we know what are the gaps, okay, what we will be discussing is that what are all creative and innovative ways through which we can, as an entrepreneur, try to fulfill those gaps. Okay. Thank you very much for everyone for replying on the chat. So, giving an overview of this content, okay, we will be discussing overall that which are all the dots while we are having a transaction in our retail store, okay, which we need to, as an entrepreneur, connect to make a very smooth transition of the jewelry piece from the manufacturing to the retail to the end consumer. What are the best practices what we need to follow, what are the points in which we need to be very cautious about, because when we say that we are selling a jewelry, it's not only about the selling a jewelry, it's about you are representing the brand in which you are standing there at the retail. Okay, so here's the thing, guys. Okay, there is a very short video which I'm going to play. I want every one of you to observe this video very carefully, because there are few important questions which we will be discussing after this video, okay? Guys, let me know if you guys are able to hear out the video.
Hey, Cham.
मम्मी पापा आ गए।
So tired. आई है रोशनी, मकसद भी आएगा, अपना कोई रूठ,
अरे आ जाना यार।
अपना मनाएगा। आई है रोशनी, मकसद भी आएगा। अरे मिंटू बेटा, अपना कुछ भूला, पापा नहीं आए, कोई अपना जताएगा। अच्छा आजा। आएगा जिसने घर आएगा, आएगा आएगा जिसने घर आएगा,
ये वाला
गुड चॉइस। आएगा जिसने घर आएगा, आएगा आएगा जिसने घर आएगा। ये रखिए और ये पापा को देना। आएगा आएगा जिसने घर आएगा।
आ जाना यार। नहीं।
वादा एक उम्र का कोई फरमाएगा, अपना कुछ भूला, कोई अपना जताएगा।
Thank you so much. Happy anniversary.
अपना कुछ भूला, कोई अपना जताएगा। जिसने घर आएगा, आएगा आएगा जिसने घर आएगा।
Okay, so I hope everyone did like the video though. So my first question to to people over there, that when we saw this video, who was a customer and who was a consumer? You guys can quickly type it on the chat, that who was a customer and who was a consumer. Then we can have a good discussion on that. Customer, okay. Okay. Also write the consumer as well. So while you are typing the customer, also try to type that who you think the consumer is, I mean to say. Perfect. Okay. Amazing. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, people, for replying to that. Okay. But the kid purchase. Perfect. Perfect, Zishan. Okay, team. So, yes, I mean to say you guys are absolutely right. So here the customer is probably the child is acting as a customer on behalf of the father, and the consumer is the lady who's wearing that beautiful necklace. Okay, so this is something, what makes a difference while you own a brand, the store, have your team is understanding the difference between who is a consumer and who is a customer. Because here the entire game changes while you understand it very clearly, that when you're interacting, okay, when you're interacting with the customer, you know what are the language or what are the choice of word you need to do. And when you know while you are interacting with the consumer, you understand what language you need to speak. Okay. So for an owner or for a person who is interacting with the end people, they need to know this difference really well. Because a wrong conversation, understanding the consumer and you interacting the customer language, it will make very difficult for that deal to be closed. So that's why it's very important that when we are doing the sale, we need to make a very quick judgment. okay, that who is a customer and who is a consumer. And there are probabilities that where the customer and the consumer can be the same person. Okay, so that is also the same thing what we need to have it in our mind. Okay, so the next thing, product knowledge and expertise, tip number 2. Then we have creating a memorable shopping experience, the art of customer engagement, and personalization and relationship building. Now, here's the point. How many of you understand right now? One of an experience, what I would like to share with every one of you over here is in the past, okay, how many ever retail stores when I've interacted with those people, the major gap is people understand the product, but they do not understand the product language. So it becomes very crucial and important for us to know that product knowledge and product language becomes very crucial for our team when they are interacting with the consumer. That's one. Okay, then again it is really important that we understand that jewelry is not a product which is probably everyday people will buy and sell, right? The jewelry is a piece where people come to our store for creating a special moment more memorable. So we need to understand that basically they are not looking out only for a product, they are looking out for an experience what we can give it to them to make their moment very special, right? So it's really an art how we understand that need of the consumer when they are walking through our store. And guys, you guys have any question in middle of our discussion? There are two ways. Either you can drop it in the chat, or probably there will be an time where I'll open the floor for questions. So at that time you can ask as well. Tip number 6. Now, here it comes to recognizing your buyer triggers and common triggers that include celebrations, gifting, and self reward. So, here is the point. Okay, when you are having a conversation with the person who is sitting in front of you, okay, this is very important for us to understand that what are they here for? Are they here to buy it for someone else? Are they here to celebrate some occasion and because of which they are looking for a special design or special collection? So that's something you need to understand the trigger point very well. That is it for a gifting purpose? Is it for a celebration purpose? Is it something they just want to self reward themselves? It can be anything, but it's an art where you understand that what exactly they are here in the store for. So now again, this is not like a form where we have to start asking our clients that what is your age, what is your location. Obviously, this is something which will make a client very awkward if we directly have these questions. But again, as I mentioned, it's an art of engagement, what one need to understand, okay? That how can I gauge that if there is someone who is walking, how am I able to predict the data what my mind can tell me? That probably what could be the possible choice of that customer as per the location or as per the age or as per the personality what that person is carrying with them, right? So again, this is something very important. And I'll tell you what, when you combine all those dots, you will understand that how quality conversation you can start doing with your clients. Okay. Now, here comes tip number 7 and tip number 8. So now again, this is again one of the very important and crucial point where we often have like a very standard pitch when it comes to talking with our clients. But we all need to understand that jewelry, while having a transaction of a jewelry, it's more of understanding what is the customer you're in for. Okay, so understanding the need, understanding the choice, understanding the personality, understanding the need occasion, there are so many various factors which a person need to judge and gauge right at that very moment, because there can never be a standard conversation pitch with your clients. Okay, so this is something which we need to understand very clearly. Now, the tip number 8, it is power of exclusivity. Now what happens is, many of the store, when they are showing the jewelry piece, what happens is they tend to show everything together. Often we feel that the quantity will drive the sales, but that's not the case. It's about the exclusivity, the quality, and the way how you present that particular piece to your clients. Because many a times in vision of getting the sales done, we try to show so many pieces on the table to a client, which often lead to a confusion in their mind, and then we do not close a sale, right? So we need to know that as a brand owner, how can I show or display my jewelry pieces in an exclusive way, where we can use a very good choice of word, that this is a recent collection what have just arrived, or this is a very exclusive designs, which is where we have a very limited pieces to be sell, right? So you need to understand that how can you create that FOMO in the mind of consumer, where they go directly in that division of buying that jewelry. Now, this is something I want a quick reply from every one of you. How many of you agree that when it comes to exclusive or high end or jewelry buying, can it be a transaction or it needs to be an experience? Okay, so I want you guys to type quickly on the chat that how you want, as a consumer, that trade to happen. You want it to be a transaction or you want it to be an experience for you to buy? Perfect, there you go. Thank you, Anupam. Thank you for replying. Thanks, Amani, for replying. And guys, just imagine, we also agree that it should be an experience, but often we forget that eventually in in a verge of getting the sales done, we sometimes don't give that experience because it's an exclusive jewelry what people needs to buy. So I say this thing: if your jewelry cost is $1 million, your conversation should be of $10 billion. That's where you make an impact on your consumer, because you cannot have a conversation of high end value jewelry with a very layman language and making it very normal for people to buy. So you all need to understand that when it is about jewelry, it's not something in common what people buy in every day. So when every person of your team is doing a conversation, the choice of words, the presentation of that jewelry needs to be top notch, and that's where your brand makes a difference, right? And you know what, to make this thing happen, I have few solutions as well, which is going to help every jeweler out there in the world. Okay, so that's something I'll be talking at the end of the session though. But yes, understand, right from the moment the consumer walks into your store, how the person is greeting, how the person is interacting, the person who is an RSO or the person who's going to talk with that client in terms of the need, how they are addressing the need, without getting offended. Sometimes what happens is that, many of the customer, they tend to ask many questions, in terms of how the piece is, what are the offers you have, what are the discount you have. These are many challenges what we face in our retail store as well. But you need to understand that as a brand, the price what the jewelry is, you need to give the value or higher to that jewelry. So when I say value, it means the transaction or the customer should not only focus on the price of the jewelry, they also need to know the value what this brand is providing to that customer. It can be in terms of how we are dealing with it, it can be in terms of how we are addressing to their need. Okay, so there are many things you for uplifting the value of your brand rather than just focusing on the price of the jewelry. Importance of storytelling. So we all hear this point quite often, that jewelry is all about storytelling. But you know what? Here the point is, as an owner, You might be very well in terms of saying the story about the pieces what you have, but end client who is going to walk up to your store, he is not going to always interact with the owner. There is the team on the ground level with that client is going to interact with. So as a owner, you need to make sure that your each person who is going to sell out that jewelry piece understand the importance of storytelling. We as a business owner, we invest a lot in digital marketing, we invest a lot in branding and marketing our product on a digital world, but it is very crucial and important for us as an owner that we invest in upskilling our team conversation quality, which is eventually going to help consumer to understand that what brand I'm buying from. And for that, your team needs to really go through an intense training to understand the product technically a bit in detail, and at the same time what should be the language used while I'm selling out the jewelry. So that's why it will be a very good point. And if you will see off lately, there are many brands who are investing on their people to uplift the conversation quality what they do with the client. Many a times I do see that, like just putting a piece in front of your client saying that this is a very good piece. And when they ask for the price, and the moment you say, oh, it's $1 billion piece, but while you say, it's just the price which is high. But when you say about the piece, there are no such words, there is no such intensity what a person used while explaining what this piece is about. You can say that this is an exclusive piece crafted by a number of people, you know, the stone belongs to this century. This is a very rare gemstone which has been used. So there are so many alternate words which can make that piece actually sound valuable rather than just having the price tag on it. So this is one change what we all need to understand. We need to bring in our people, which actually helps the consumer to understand the story behind the piece what they are buying. Objection handling. Again, when it comes to objection handlings, this is also a very crucial point, team, because many a times what happens is having too many questions coming from the client, we somewhere tend to lose out on the value or the quality of the conversation. So regardless of the questions coming in, we need to know how to keep the conversation alive. Okay, we need to know what is an art of engaging the audience in the conversation to make it alive. Okay, we need to understand that regardless of number of questions thrown to you at the store, how you can be calm and confident, and at the same time how you can make your client calm and confident as well to buy it from you. So it's very important. And clarifying doubts and questions, I'll tell you one point over here. Nowadays, if you will see many of the jewelers, okay, when a client have this question that I can get the same solitaire ring from your competitor with a much lesser price. So we often tend to, a human tendency, we often tend to put down 10 negative points of that competitor. But it's very important for us to know as an owner that when, as a brand, you're talking to your client, it's more about talking 10 positive things of your brand rather than talking on negative of your competitor. Okay. So this will make you stand out different than your competitors. Okay. So always remember, someone saying that you are selling natural diamond jewelry, I'm getting much lesser price in lab grown diamond jewelry. Why should I buy from you? So, as in human tendency, people or the sales team who is talking to your clients, they often start talking negative about the alternate product or the competitor. But please and please, I would request try to avoid that, because as a brand, that never goes with your aesthetic. Okay, I would quickly request everyone to give your opinion that do you all agree that we should talk more positive on our brand rather than talking negative on a competitor? If yes, I would quickly expect everyone to put your reply on the chat so that at least I understand what you all think on it. Okay, thanks Musafar. Thanks. Definitely. Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you everyone for replying that. And this is something we need to keep on reminding to our team, our staff as well, that regardless whatever happened, we as a brand, we know why are we valued and we are brand in the market. So let's uphold the value of what we are rather than criticizing on our competitors' part. Okay. So that is something very important point, and we need to be smart in that particular area. Selling without selling, the subtle art of influence. Okay. So I say this thing to everyone I meet in the industry, that your sale, okay, mark my words, or if you want to write it down, you can write it down as well. Your sale should always be the byproduct of your conversation. Okay. I'll repeat that. Your sale should always be the byproduct of your conversation, and specifically when you are in gems and jewelry industry, because nowadays the customers, the clients, everyone are so different than how it used to be. Okay. I would say the behavior of audience or the customer is much different than how it used to be. So we all need to understand that we cannot push or we cannot force or implement the transaction over the people who's walking to your store. You need to understand that we have to be a guide rather than being a salesperson to them. Okay. Which will help or enhance your brand trust on them. So this is very important, that you have to be an advisor, not a salesperson. We have to use an assumptive language. So when I say assumptive language, it's say, rather than saying, would you like to buy this? We can say, would you prefer this in white gold or yellow gold? So there is always an affirmative terms which you can use, which makes that buyer believe that no, this is something which this was the piece which I was actually looking out for. And when I say recognizing buyer signals, so this is something where you can know that when if you have a consumer in your store who's going to wear that jewelry, they will often tend to put it on their hand, put it in their finger to see that how that jewelry piece is looking on that person. So these are the signals where you need to understand that that person is moving one step closer to close that deal. So you really need to understand those trigger points and modified your conversation as per that. This again, I would say, many of the big brands, they miss out on this particular point, which is says follow up. Okay. Because we once we close the transaction, once we close the deal, once the customer have purchased a particular jewelry piece from your store, it's very important as in brand that what are the steps what we are following to bring that client back to our store. Okay. And that can only happen if we are able to complete the cycle by having a follow-up service as well. So when I say follow-up service, it can be that how often you are able to connect with that client once they have done a transaction with you. It can be in regards to making or polishing that piece, or it can be in regards to the maintenance, it can be in regards to special occasion offers. But there are many ways through which you need to understand that I still need to be connected with the client, because that will make that person feel connected with your brand and allow them to walk in your store again. Okay, so here's the next thing. So we did discuss about the tips in terms of what all things we need to do as a brand, which can uplift the value in how we our existence in the market, right? Now, here are a few slides which will touch based on what are the areas your team needs to be equipped when it comes to understanding the product in a much better way. So let's come to this slide which says understanding diamonds. Now, one thing we all know that the major ratio of the jewelry which has been sold out on a global level is gold. But if you will see the recent trend, diamond jewelry is one of the area where all jewelers have started having the inventory of. Okay. But here the point is, here the gap is, when they are selling the diamond jewelry to the client, the people who are selling the diamond jewelry, they are just selling it without understanding the product better by themselves. Okay. Now, what I want quickly everyone to tell here is that, do you guys see that the way people interact on diamond jewelry can be much better for people to trust to buy the diamond jewelry from? So you can quickly type yes or no if you guys all agree that the way the diamond jewelry has been talked on the store can be much better than how it has been happening right now in the industry. Okay. Yes, thank you for the reply though. So now, a quick question to everyone, okay? I'll put it on the chat, or you can, if you guys can hear me out. What does the carat of the diamond means to you? Okay, it's a quick quiz, like a thing for all of us. Does it mean the weight of the diamond? Does it mean the size of the diamond? Or does it mean the weight plus size of the diamond? Okay, a quick question. I'll again repeat my question. What does the term carat means to you? The weight of the diamond, the size of the diamond, or the weight plus size of the diamond? Weight, okay. 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 Amazing. Great answer. Perfect. You guys are absolutely right. So the size of the diamond is something not or never equal to the carat term, right? It's always the weight. So there comes the point where we need to make sure everyone in this world must be probably knowing what is 4C's: carat, cut, color, and clarity. But there are very few brand who equipped their team who's talking to the client when it comes to diamond jewelry in terms of the product language. Okay, so mark this word which is says product language. So having a product knowledge is complete when you also have a product language of it. Because when a customer will say why the diamond is having a dull shine, you need to know that what makes a diamond shine. Okay, and I'll tell you one point over here which you guys can have your opinion. I personally, HRE personally, always say that the diamond have a brilliance instead of the word shine, because that's make that product more exclusive than saying a diamond shines. A diamond displays a brilliance rather than it just shine. Shine is a word which can be used for any other particular product, but brilliance is the word which you can only use for the diamond. So this language, this correlation, that when I have to talk about cut, when I have to talk about carat, when I have to talk about clarity, and when I have to talk about color, this is also very crucial while you're having a conversation with your client. And that's why we say that your team needs to be really equipped to have this conversation with your clients. Now, when it comes to understanding the metals, again, this is something very basic knowledge, but we do expect that as a brand, our team needs to know it. That what are the different quality, what are the different purity in which gold exists, what are the reasons of why a gold display a rose gold color, or what are the reasons why we have a very yellow in the gold, what is the difference between a platinum and a silver. So this is a very basic thing. It's not something a very rocket science or scientific terminologies, but we need to know that even though if it is basic, our team, while having a discussion with the client, they need to have the basics very clear so that the client can understand and make that decision very transparently and very firmly. Again, I would say that having a brief understanding on different styles of setting also helps your client to make that decision quick and better. because there are multiple settings available in the market, but with for which occasion, which jewelry, which design, which setting is preferable is something we need to be equipped to let our client make the decision faster and firmly. And as I mentioned about the follow-up service, so this is something what we as a brand, we as an owner need to have it in our manual, that when a client is purchasing a jewelry piece, we are also educating and making them aware that what are all possible ways through which you can keep your jewelry piece intact and always which looks makes it looks beautiful. Okay, so as a brand owner, once the transaction is done, what are the points which clients can take care of, which can make their jewelry piece look beautiful and elegant forever? So that's something you can make your client educate on. So yes, now before I even go to this, so we discuss many tips of how we can uplift the value of the brand what we have right now in the market. But the trick to remember the tips, okay, and that's HRD, okay. So here is the thing: as an HRD Antwerp entity, we have all solutions which a client is looking for. We have lab services, we have educations, we have equipments which a client as per the need. Okay, we have this research team who are continuously working on all different types of need what our market is having, and based on that we have things on our website. So I would say that whenever you want a specific services or a specific course, you can always visit our website to know things better in terms of what we all are delivering in the market. Okay, so I'll quickly keep the chat open, or I'll unmute for people to have their questions or understanding or their feedback, that how you guys understand and feel the need of this thing having in our team. Okay, and to make it before I open the chat, okay, I would also say that I, you know, this is a special thing which we keep in every of our seminar, where we keep this discount coupon open specifically for the audience who are attending this session. And if you will see the buzz of the slide, HRD also have a retail training program which is specifically designed for all retail jewelers, which we do it on the demand and as per the customization that jewelry owners have. So, you guys can use this code on, you can just drop down your requirement on our email ID of education, and you can use this code and you can send out our requirements, and our team will get back to you in terms of what way, how we can proceed and what exactly HRD can deliver in terms of your need as a retail training. So you guys can take information on this slide. And yes, for regular updates, you guys can follow us on social media so that you guys are updated with our upcoming seminars and upcoming things what HRD is going to come up with. So yes, team, I will put the chat and floor open for you guys sharing your views, and you can share your views. How did you like? What's your opinion? What things you need in upcoming seminar, and if you have any question for the things which we discussed so far. Yes, Ishan, you can always follow our social media page. That's open. I also got a question from Himani, that will this presentation be shared with us? This presentation will be available on YouTube, so you can always go through that and refer that presentation again. Yeah, sure. I'll just again come back to that slide where you can follow us on Instagram. Yes, people, any questions, any reviews? How did you find, I mean to say, did you found the conversation what we had? Was it something which can have some learning, some takeaway to you? You can quickly type on chat also if you guys want to reply there. Thank you. Thank you for attending the session, I would say. Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Suleiman. Okay, so I have this question says how to continue the customer if hesitating about two different items. It's a very good question. So what my recommendation here is that when it comes to a customer who is, confused about or, hesitating about. So when you say hesitating about two different items, it means which one to pick or whether to pick both or whether not to pick both. So if it is about which one to pick, and there was this one on the slide where we said that you have to gauge the need of that customer. That is that customer in the store for a particular choice, for a particular occasion? And if that's the case, you need to understand that if he's hesitating out of both of the piece, which jewelry piece he should pick, which will suffice his or her need for that occasion. So I guess that will help you as a salesperson to make that person make that decision better. Okay, so there is one suggestion seminar to come about catching up a client lost in lab-grown diamond jewelry. That's a very interesting one. So here is the point. There are people in this. I would say in the existing market who have this question in their mind that why should I go with natural diamond jewelry? Why should I go with lab-grown diamond jewelry? It's guys, as a brand, we keep it very simple. You need to find your exclusivity. You need to see where you stand in the market. You need to see what is the choice what you are making. You want to make a status driven decision, then you know which product to go with. And if you have a choice which is very limited in terms of you want to be normal, you want to be in terms of you want to make your decision of just seeing the money you have in your pocket, then you have your choice. So I would say drive your conversation in such a way where instead of you allowing that person decide, you are giving them those information where that person will decide or make a choice what they want to buy for, whether they want to go with a natural diamond jewelry or whether they want to go for a lab grown diamond jewelry. So it's more about making them choosing what they want to go for. But it's a very very good question, I would say. Would love to know about the retail training services. Yes, please go on our website, drop on to our education. Like we have an education email ID out there. Please send out your requirements and our team will get in touch with you. We have customized programs specifically designed with every point what we discussed today. Okay. And I'm sure that that's gonna be a very good investment for you as a brand owner to uplift the brand presence in the market. Arguments to sell natural diamond to convince client talking about lab grown. Again, that's a very interesting one, that it's not more like an argument, but it's more like making them aware that why we exist. So take an example, if I am a natural diamond jewelry brand, so I would focus on what value my product is going to bring in your life. So that's where I stand out different than other players in the market. Because if when the conversation starts as an argument, I would say as a brand owner, we always need to be knowing that what value that piece is going to bring, rather than convincing them that why you need to go with a natural diamond jewelry. Because people often go on to saying that you know that natural diamond have a resale value, but there is a lot more to a piece than just saying than a resale value. There is like the storytelling behind it, there is the exclusivity behind it, there is a rarity behind it. So it's more a lot more than the price of that piece, so that is something will help you out as a brand owner to make that conversation and not an argument. Okay. Okay. Okay, so here a very tricky question. Would you recommend having a natural diamond and lab grown diamond in the shop or choosing the one? So here is the thing. You as an owner need to understand the placement of your store, the placement of your audience, and the placement of your product. If you will see in many countries, they have natural diamond and lab grown diamond in one store. But in many of the countries, they cannot do it because the client perspective, it's different in every area of the world, right? So when you know your client perspective better, you will understand that what is the model you need to create for your business, because there is never a standard model for every owner. Okay, you need to know the place where you are going to start your business or start your store. You need to know the mindset of the people in that place, because many area the people mindset will be, I'm okay, I'll decide what choice I need to make. But in many area, people are very dependent on the store owner to allow them to make the choice. So answering to that question, you need to have a very good data driven approach when it comes to what model you need to come out with in the market. So yeah, guys, I guess that's it from my side. If you have any further more questions, you can always email it to me, and our team will get back to you. And thank you so much, everyone, I would say, for being with us. And lastly, but I would say, see you, ciao to everyone. And we all will see you soon in the next upcoming seminar. See you, team. Thank you, everyone, for joining in.